Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Duncan. Really privileged to be over here again, every single year. So thanks for having me here again. And this is really a great moment. And we actually built a product called Cerberus for Corda, mainly for the Corda enterprise. And we would like to introduce this one to everybody, and hopefully, while Corda Enterprise is moving towards production and more people are using Corda Enterprise, people may also want to use this Cerberus, because Cerberus is actually a system that we built for DevOps and also the operations team. And when you have more and more nodes that you need to look after, whether there's any tools for you to help you out, to visualize the entire system, and also to make sure every single Corda node is up and running. You do not want to afford to have a big team to look after everything. So whether we can have this kind of automatic tool to help you guys or not, let's look into this product and see. I would like to collect some feedbacks from you guys to see whether this one is a good start or not. So if you look at the history or the evolution of the entire enterprise DLT, we realized one thing. It's actually aligned with the R3 history very much as well, is that back to like 5 years ago, people were talking about a lot of different kinds of ideas in terms of both use cases as well as technologies. We have different kinds of consensus algorithms. We have been trying out different kinds of use cases, tons of interesting things happening. And gradually, we reduced the number of use cases into some so-called low-hanging fruits. For example, we've been working closely with some of the banks on the trade finance area. We're also working on the central bank digital currency projects as well, all with R3 folks. And gradually, we moved to pilots. And the difference between the proof of concept or the prototypes and the pilots are that we are going to support live transactions. Basically, we cannot screw up. And that's why we need to enhance the reliability of it rather than the number of new features. About the new features right now, I have an observation is that in terms of technology, it's basically settled. Not talking about those zero knowledge proof or multi-party computation or homomorphic encryption, but for the major set of features or technologies, they are all settled. And right now, we need to focus more probably on how to make sure that our system can run reliably, and also how to make sure that we can comply with all those security requirements, and also how to make the deployment more efficient. So down the road, I think in the coming 5 years, we are gradually moving from pilot to production, and we need to provision this kind of production system by looking into exactly how we can support our operations team. So our operations team also needs tools so that we can keep our costs very low, and also to make them very efficient rather than having our operations team locked up in a dark room and then looking after all the nodes. We should have some tools for them. So this is actually why we are actually looking into this, how to operate or how to automate the DevOps and how to help our operations team to look into it. Right now in Hong Kong, I have a very small operations team running 24/7, including all the public holidays. And I actually have 5 people there, and they are looking after more than 200 nodes right now. So if you look into, for example, CryptoBLK, in the last 24 months, we have been deployed a few thousand nodes. That's pretty impressive. And also, our DevOps team have been working so hard to deploying all those things, to write a lot of deployment scripts, to automate all the things. And even right now, at any moment of the time, we are hosting more than 2,000 live nodes. They are all Corda nodes right now. And down the road, we are going to have more and more nodes added up. And this actually brings in a lot of challenges to us, how to keep our costs down. And especially our customers, they are thinking that it's distributed, but I don't want to have a lot of invoices coming to me because you are distributing more nodes and getting more expensive. We would like to keep the system very low cost, very agile, and also we should have some tool to make sure that we can look after all the nodes without any of the human intervention. So this comes to the product that I would like to introduce today. It's called Cerberus. And this is actually a monitoring as well as an alerting system. And we look into the Corda nodes, the Corda apps running on top of the Corda nodes, and also some of those DLT supporting resources, for example, the web servers, the database, and also some of the, for example, the third-party servers. For example, at the trade finance field, we have a lot of third-party modules like the bill of lading modules, some of the API gateways. We should also look into it and make sure that all those servers are up and running. So Cerberus is designed for the DevOps, and also down the road, it's mainly designed for the operations team. So this is just a snapshot of what we can see as kind of like a dashboard of a Corda node. So we get all those information from some conventional agents like the JMX exporter, the Telegraph, the Firebit, and all those agents are very useful agents. And we try to visualize them, and we try to consolidate all of them. And also we have those logs, and we try to aggregate those logs, and also carry out some of the analysis. For example, we have the Elasticsearch built in for supporting the regular expression search as well. So over here, as you can see, on the Corda node dashboard, you can have different levels of healthiness that you can check out. Say the Corda level, the JVM threat information, the Corda apps information like the number of flows, whether there will be a flow which is being queued or expired, or how many active flows that you have, and also some of the operating system information there. So we hope that we can put in not just some of the existing system level, but also application-specific information onto the screen. And also we try to build a dashboard. For example, you are running, say, one of our projects called Midas, which is an insurance system that we have different Corda nodes. We have Notary, Doorman, we have all other databases, and some connectivity as well, like the RPC, P2P, all those stuff. And we want to have one screen to see this is actually the happy case, like all green. So all the nodes are okay, that's fine. But if some of the nodes are down, we have some different colors, and then you can click into a particular node and look into it to find out what's happening. And we are also sending some notification, depends on the severity level. So about all those resources that you need to monitor, you might have a question that what kind of nodes that you can monitor, or what kind of settings that you can monitor. Actually, we built it kind of like a Cerberus. We call it an agent. So it's basically a small process running on those VMs and collect all those information. You don't need to send everything to a monitoring center. You can have a standalone if you have this kind of security requirement. So over here, it shows two different scenarios. Client A's data center on-prem, on-premises. Another one is the VPS on cloud. So the structure can be the same. We have the load balancer. We have the fault tolerance, web services. We might have two Corda nodes running for the hot or cold standby. And also we have those database connected to there. So we can run actually a Cerberus agent to look after all those resources and tell us whether they are healthy or not. So this is basically an overview of all the features. Some of the key points are, for example, the real-time healthiness checking on the Corda network, on the Corda apps, and also some of the related resources. And also, we are trying to put in more powerful tools to analyze the logs. Right now, we have the Elasticsearch integrated. We can support the regular expression there. We try to aggregate more logs so that we can have some kinds of correlational information obtained from there. Besides that, we are also checking the digital certificates. Sometimes it's, we call it the low-level errors coming from our DevOps forgetting to renew the certificates. And turn out that that can be a nightmare or a disaster. So having some kinds of tools to remind us whether the particular certificate is going to expire or not, or whether the certificate is already in a revocation list or not, we can actually notify the DevOps or the operations teams to renew those certificates. That's also very important. So about the notification part, we support email notification, phone, SMS, depending on the severity level. For some of the very critical missions that the SMS or the phone call will be triggered. Currently, Cerberus is not something that we are going to roll out. Actually, it's already been used. We are using this one for a global letter of credit trade finance platform. And also we are using it for our insurance platform Midas. And for the Midas itself, we have 40 live DLT Corda nodes running right now. We also have some other like central bank digital currency projects that we are making use of Cerberus to monitor that. As I mentioned, we only have 5 guys right now working on the operations part, but they are already looking after all these 200 DLT nodes. One more remark about Cerberus is that we launched that in December 2018, and so far there was no glitch. And this is actually a testimonial on how reliable the Corda system is. So for those operations or DevOps guy, this is actually a very typical table that you would look into and make sure that everything's checked. For example, the surface visualization, whether this kind of monitoring tool has any of the visualization stuff. In terms of the functionality, whether you have the monitoring of the functionality, and some of the non-functional availability part, whether you have the monitoring of it or not, and also the system level monitoring. So right now for Cerberus, we make sure that everything's checked, but definitely it's not perfect. We are still trying to build more and more features on top of it. And right now, I have to say it's still basic. For example, for this dashboard, we are actually organizing all those nodes by projects. So for each role, it corresponds to one project. For example, CryptoBLK is looking after actually 11 different projects, and they are all live. And we have to make sure that all those systems are up and running. And you can see that there is one row which is red, and all 6 Corda nodes are down. We intentionally make it like this for the illustration purpose only. And also you can see that on this dashboard, you can see the number of nodes for each of the projects. And also you can click into it to see every single resources to see how healthy it is or how unhealthy it is. So at this moment, say if you look into one particular project, then you can actually look into one Corda node that, for example, you can actually look into a particular, say the JVM thread or the failure account. And also you can check out the P2P port connectivity information over there. So all these things are actually taken from existing agents, right? Like Telegraph or the JMX exporter. And we just try to make sure that we can visualize everything and the operations team can have a better life. So this is also another screenshot about the core dev level, the number of flows there. And also the system level. This is basically like your MacBook Air monitor app. And also about the notification part, it really depends on the severity level. For example, if this usage is over 60%, then we are going to send an email out to the operations team. Or if your certificate is about to expire in 2 weeks, then there will be an email notification. But in some of the scenarios that, say, one of the Corda nodes is down for more than 5 minutes, then the operations team really need to wake up and pay attention to that. So that would trigger actually a phone call or SMS message to make sure the operations team can look into that to restart the Corda code or look into the log and so on. So about the log, this is something that we are actually paying special attention to because there are actually a lot of different kinds of logs. If you do the manual work to dig out the details, it's a nightmare. So this is actually a special request coming from our DevOps team, and they actually built this one up by supporting the regular expression, as I mentioned, and also they support the log aggregation. So this one seems to be pretty dumb, actually, but it's very important because every single grid over there represents the number of days left before your certificate expires. And to be honest, we have made a few this kind of mistakes in the past, forgetting renewing the certificates, and then the entire system goes down for a couple of minutes. So this one turned out to be quite useful, and for our dev team, they actually love this page very much. And right now we don't have the integration with revocation lists yet, but very soon we are going to integrate with that to make sure we also can renew or even automate the certificate renewal or the revocation. So this is also a very standard web portal access control or access overview, and you can actually find out a lot of this standard information from just one page. So again, we try to make the operations team's life easier over here. So about how this the Cerberus system can be used, we basically have two different scenarios. One scenario is that you just need to install a Cerberus agent on your system, no matter if it's on-prem or on cloud. So you just install that agent will communicate with our Cerberus monitoring center, and your operations team can simply log on to the Cerberus operations center or the monitoring center to look after all your nodes. So that's one scenario. It's a quick and dirty way to do it. But if you have a much more stringent security requirement, you can actually run the Cerberus as a standalone system on your cloud or on your data center. And you have your own dashboard, you have your own system, and you don't need to connect to the outside world. So you can just use it as a standalone. And also we have one more feature, is that your own standalone Cerberus console can actually connect to our Cerberus monitoring center so that we can provide a second level, a level 2 support. So you can just send some of the logs that you think is less sensitive and good enough for us to do the level 2 support. You can send it to us, and then we can make use of this Cerberus monitoring center to look after you. So about the tools behind this Cerberus system, we are using all the standard stuffs, Prometheus for the data privacy, the Elasticsearch for the log aggregation, as well as the powerful search, the jump box for different security zone management, or the Kubernetes for the fast deployment, as well as the hybrid deployment. So if you are interested in the Cerberus, the link is right here, or you may just go to our webpage. There is a link over here. And if you would like to try it out, let me know, let my team know. We would love to provide this. We believe it's a very exciting project and a product for the Corda, as well as the Corda enterprise system. All right, so thank you very much. Am I on time? Yeah. Thanks.
Really good on time, Duncan. Well done. I've got a few questions for you. Probably we have time for 3 or 4, I guess. The first one, I think, is more on the report monitoring side of things. So is Cerberus, after a fault or an incident, does he report on ledger integrity as well? Does he give you...
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, about the ledger integrity, let me think about the definition of it. So ledger integrity, I think it's referring to the data integrity part, and also about the notary to see whether there will be any kinds of contamination of the ledger or not. Right now for Cerberus, we are not working on that yet. We actually look into particular Corda applications to see whether this is really a major issue or not. If it is really a major issue, and if we can do something about it, we would definitely add on it. But at this moment, Cerberus does not support it yet. Yeah.
Okay, next question is whether does it support monitoring of the Corda firewall?
So that's a very good question. We do monitor the Corda firewall. Right now, it's very basic. For example, right now, we are actually getting all the information from those agents I mentioned, the JMX, the Telegraph, Firebit. And gradually, we are trying to build our own agents as well. Just like the certificate renewal, we have our own agent to monitor all the certificates. For example, the firewall part, we are actually adding some additional agent on top of it for the firewall-specific monitoring.
I'll jump on the next, which is on one of your dashboard was actually listing billing. So the question is, what was the intention there? Is it billing for Corda?
So yeah, we are making money, right? So as I mentioned, the Cerberus Monitoring Center is a subscription-based service. It can also be a standalone console that you can actually license Cerberus. So for example, if you just want to monitor some of the nodes, you can just simply subscribe, log on to the Cerberus cloud, which is the Cerberus Monitoring Center, and then put in your credit card number, and then you are ready to go. So that billing is actually for our customers to try it out and to monitor some of the small projects that they want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, next one, more on the service side of things. Will you offer this as a managed service for nodes on the Corda network?
The
Cerberus itself, if it's going to be a
Yeah, sure.
service.
Yeah, so for us, definitely our objective is to make sure that the operation team can have a better life. I keep mentioning about this point. So whatever which can help the operations team to get the information so that they only need to make decision rather than digging into the logs or finding where the problem is, then we would like to do it. So definitely yes.
Okay, next one on the future plans. What's on the technical and strategic roadmap for the development of Cerberus?
So first of all, we would like to do more on the Corda level, because right now, as you can see, we have covered all the basics, the Corda nodes, the system level, and also some of the basic notification capability. But next, down the road on our roadmap, we would like to specify more or focus more on the Corda level. For example, right now we are working on the trade finance systems. We are working on central bank digital currency systems. For different kinds of application, the Corda apps will behave differently, and we need to monitor different aspects. Say, for the trade finance, we actually need to monitor some third-party components like the bill of lading components, how the connectivity works. But for the central bank digital currency part, we need to focus more on the atomic swap part to see whether we can actually provide more monitoring over there. So that's why down the road, we would like to focus more on all these specific applications and try to support them as modules. Yeah.
And another question which ties into what you just said, were you going to offer any complementary related products or you have anything planned in the future to offer those?
So right now for Cerberus, we would like to focus on what our clients need the most, and especially about the trade finance as well as central bank digital currency, and also those insurance things. We are actually the operator of the whole thing. So actually, all those requests are coming from our own operations team. But very soon, we are going to double the team or maybe triple the team in the coming few months. So we are actually getting more and more requests, not just internally, but also from our partners. So down the road, for example, actually, we are not just focusing on the current Corda apps that we are working on. We are actually working with some other very exciting projects that hopefully I can announce that very soon in the coming few months, that we are actually, as I mentioned, working on the Corda level and try to focus more on the Corda level monitoring. Yeah, that's going to be our focus for the coming few months.
How easy it is to integrate our existing Corda network or Corda applications into the alerting system?
Yeah. So the Cerberus is basically like, you may consider it as a process or an agent running on a VM. So as soon as you want to monitor a particular VM, all the activities on the VM, you just simply install that agent onto it. So it's totally kind of like independent or running in an orthogonal way or a fashion related to the Corda network or any kinds of the particular Corda nodes. So if you want to monitor a particular node, you just run an agent there, and then that agent actually has all the features bundled within. So basically, the level is at the VM level, and you run a process over there. But if you don't want to monitor any particular thing, for example, the database is just too sensitive to monitor, then you can just turn it off. And you can monitor some other stuff that you think it's quite important, and also there is also a security compliance that you need to fulfill. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.